Hi everyone, this is Christy with Vegan Food for Thought, and today I wanted to share my water kefir recipe because this is what helped heal my thrush and balance out my candida and stuff. And so what it is you get water kefir grains, and they don't have any, I think they make them originally with a type of milk or something, but these ones don't have any more of that in it, but they have all kinds of really good probiotics in them, and they're really good at balancing out your gut and just all kinds of health. They balance your bacteria basically. And I noticed as soon as I started using them, like within a month, that as soon as I started drinking the water kefir, my thrush went away. And it was the first time that I was ever even able to eat or drink anything that was fermented without getting like rashes instantly. Like the next day, I would always, if I ate sauerkraut, get some sort of a rash. And yeah, now I don't, so I like that. I'm gonna continue on doing that. And yeah, I wasn't able to eat sauerkraut for like years and years, and this is the first thing that like has it's fermented, but it's helped with that. And also, I did also make some changes in my diet that you can check out in my last two videos. I talk about that. I think my second to the last video. But yeah, I'll link below where to get water kefir grains. Yeah, so those are like super awesome. But yeah, here is my setup today. So you want to start with finding a nice glass or plastic jar. This is just a reused apple juice jar. But you want 64 ounces. I like to make a big batch. I make 64 ounces of it at a time. And as you'll find out, like if you're using this, for this recipe, I'm using 3 cups of kefir grains, and you don't need that many. This is just, I want to keep these ones alive, so I'm going to continue using them. So I'm going to adjust the recipe for that, but the normal recipe calls for 2 cups, and you could use more or less too. I mean, it's just, if you have less of them, you might want to let the water kefir sit for longer when you're done, to let it ferment. But yeah, this is what the recipe is. So we start with, I'm going to fill this about to 3/4 of the way, so 1.5 liters of water. And leave room for the rest of the ingredients. Now, the water that you want in this recipe, you want filtered water, and you want like preferably, they say spring water in the recipe, but we have well water, so it's comparable, but not exactly the same. It's filtered well water. So, let's see. Okay. So I want to make sure everything's going to fit, but that's about 1.5 liters of water, and then I add in, I don't have this one on hand, but a pinch of salt, so like a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and they recommend using pink Himalaya salt or some sort of salt that has minerals in it. Okay, and then these things you can add, these are dried apricots, but you can also add dates or figs, and then I like to just kind of score the outside of them, and you'll notice later that they kind of like, it helps them absorb the water and get into the stuff. I don't know, the bacteria gets into it and it creates a really good flavor, so I like to put little, I put little score marks on each one of these, and you'll see they kind of like, they absorb more of the water that way. There we go. So 8 of those dried apricots, and then a 1/2 cup of maple syrup. You could use coconut, coconut sugar. Some recipes call for just plain sugar, but maple syrup's kind of one of those ones that doesn't irritate my body. Like my candida, it doesn't cause, like if I don't have a lot of it, I could have too much of anything and like have a candida flare up, and get like thrush in my mouth and stuff, but this stuff and coconut sugar for me is like the thing where like if I don't eat too much of it, it's fine. But anything else, like yeah, just plain like crystallized sugar will cause like massive like candida issues for me, so I like the maple syrup. Let me see if I can fit these in here. I have lemon wedges, so I have a 1/2 lemon cut into wedges, and I was hoping that they would fit in there without squeezing them. You don't want the lemon juice in there, you don't want to like squeeze the juice in there, but yeah, I'm gonna cut these one more time. Yeah, I've tried squeezing lemon juice into the kefir, the water kefir, and what it does is it kind of kills off the bacteria, like the good bacteria, because lemons are strong and I think they're antibacterial, but so you don't want to like juice the lemon and put it in there, but it does add a little bit of flavor like this. Maybe I won't add that one. It's got some seeds, but yeah. So that's about a half a lemon in there. Normally I just cut it in half and throw it in when I'm using different jars, but I finally found one that's like 64 ounces and not 32 ounces, so I was happy about that. So finally I hope I can fit all these. I don't know if they will, but I also wanted to mention that you should use glass or plastic when making water kefir, and be careful because even at the end, the strainer, you want to have a plastic strainer, or even just, I mean, I had only a metal strainer, so I would just do, like when I would pour the water kefir out to collect it or to drink it, I would just use like a plastic fork or a spoon and kind of do that. And I mean, these are the beneficial bacteria. So like you can eat them. I throw them in smoothies. They actually grow every time that you create water kefir, so you'll get more and more of them. That's why I have so many. I started out with like a quarter of a cup of these, and I've thrown away. I just had to compost my other batch that was even larger than this one because I didn't make kefir with it for like, it was maybe like a month or something, so I could smell they weren't like alive. They kind of, like if you smell them, they smell a little bit like alcohol almost, like very fermented, yeah, so these ones are still alive and like healthy, but the other batch didn't smell like that. So yeah, I'm gonna add these into here very, very carefully, but yeah, that's pretty much it. I think I'm gonna be making a mess. Maybe, I don't know how to do this. I thought this spout, what I need is a funnel, and I don't have a plastic funnel or any type of funnel. I guess this works. Yeah. So I'm going to add as much of this as I can into here, as much as it will fit. I might just toss out the rest of these or put them in a smoothie later, but yeah, they're really good. They're really healthy for you. So when you're done with all this, just I was going to say put a lid on, but don't use the lid just yet. You want to add, actually I have them down here, my coffee filter. You can add like a piece of paper or something, but what they recommend in the recipe, what I've always used, is one of these coffee filter things, and let's see, and then it's really good to use a rubber band, because that way, like if you might happen to have some like little fruit flies or something hanging out, they won't be able to get in there because they love this stuff. You can also use this stuff to make a little fruit fly trap like next to it or somewhere. And what I do with those, actually I have one right here, but what you can do with those is you put like, even apple cider vinegar, it's gross, but yeah, and then you put any type of, like this one's wax paper and a rubber band, and then you poke little holes, like fork holes, and they go in but they can't come out of there. That one I need to refill because it doesn't have like fresh stuff in there, but maybe I'll add these Kefir Rings in there because yeah, I already thought we were done with the fruit flies, and as soon as I took these Kefir Rings out, I found out that we had one in here. So this is what you do, and then let's see, once it's full, you add the top thing, the cover on it, and then you just let it sit in a warm place. Depending on the temperature, you want it like 75 to 85 degrees. I'm making a mess here, but you get the gist of it, yeah. So depending on how warm it is or how cold it is in your house, they will ferment faster or slower. The colder, the slower they go. And I like to ferment mine for just about 24 hours. Depending on, I always check if I touch it like this, you can tap it and you'll see little bubbles come up from the bottom. And that means that it's ready pretty much. You can ferment it more, but the longer it goes, the more likely it is to have like alcohol in it. So I've made a couple batches where I felt like it was a little bit too strong. And normally I don't feel any sort of alcoholic effect at all from it. So it also depends on how you store it in the fridge. Now, when I put this lid on it, once it's done, I'll put the lid on it. But I just put it on like this. I don't twist it all the way. And that lets it kind of like off gas. It lets the, I don't know what it is, the fermentation, the stuff come out, and it prevents it from becoming, because it can continue to ferment in the fridge also. So that helps it not ferment in the fridge. I got most of them. Okay, that was pretty good. I didn't think I was going to fit them all in here. I really want to get all these in here because then they'll like, I can keep them going, keeping them alive. Let's see. Almost. There we go. Oops. Okay. Yay. Alright, so we got all those in there. Can't believe I got all of them in there, but yeah, and then you just fasten this on, and I like to put mine above the fridge sometimes, or just even now that it's warmer, like the fireplace has been going and stuff here, it ferments pretty quick. And I've actually, the last batch that I made, I stopped before it was like 20 hours or something instead of 24 hours. Normally it goes a lot longer than that, but yeah, that is it. So it tastes really good. It just tastes like fruit and maple syrup water. And I drink about a cup of that a day. So that'll last me a little while. As you can see, it's going to be 1.5 liters once I filter out all the fruit and the kefir grains and stuff. And so what you do is you take your kefir grains out, and then you just store those in the fridge, and you filter. You can sieve, or I have a little strainer thing. I don't know where it is, but it was a plastic strainer. And I filter it out that way. And then I just drink it. And you store this in the fridge, the bottle, the kefir, and it stores for quite a while. I've always finished it within like a week or two. I wouldn't let it go on longer than that because it might start to change in the flavor. It might start to ferment more, but usually if you put this lid on there and you just twist it like halfway, not all the way, so that there's still air that can escape, then it doesn't continue to ferment, and you can store it for a little while. Yeah, and that's pretty much the gist of it. That's it. That's all. But post any questions or comments down below if there's anything I forgot. And yeah, enjoy your kefir. They're fun. They're like alive, so it's kind of cool.